Hi, and welcome to Bariatric Care. I am Connie Stapleton, your bariatric psychologist, and we are doing bariatric care today. So, whether you're listening to the podcast or watching the video, I welcome you and I appreciate you being here. Today, we're going to get a jump start on the new year by thinking about resolutions right now. In the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about holiday eating, how to be successful, how to make sure you balance your exercise with your extra intake of food and calories. You've probably been seeing and hearing a lot about staying true to your plans, your goals for the new year. So, I want to talk about the new year because it's the time when people start considering making New Year's resolutions. And I'm going to give you a little suggestion about what you might want to think about in terms of a New Year's resolution. Don't have any. Do not make any. Don't make a resolution. None, nada, zero y cero. I don't know what that means exactly, but just don't make any resolutions. And I'm going to tell you why. Because there's a lot of statistics, and I'm going to share some of these with you. And they're new, they're up to date. This was from 2021. So here's the deal. And this sounds pretty optimistic at first, and I was kind of surprised by these statistics. It's just kind of fun to hear this and try to think of yourself in the past if you've made New Year's resolutions in the past. But of all the people who do set a New Year's resolution, about a week later, impressively, 75% are still successful in keeping it, which I thought it would be lower than that. So kudos to you who follow through with a New Year's resolution for a week. After 2 weeks, still about 71% of people are following through with those New Year's resolutions. And after a month, still 64%. So to me, I'm thinking, wow, that's impressive. But you got to keep in mind that doesn't mean 64% of all people, because not all people set New Year's resolutions, but still. Okay, so after 6 months, whoever of those people who set New Year's resolutions, 46% are still at it, which totally impresses me. But if you don't set a resolution, but you set a similar goal, like I want to lose 50 pounds, that's my resolution, versus, yeah, you know what, I'd like to lose 50 pounds this year. Only 4% of those who set a goal versus a resolution are still keeping it. So that makes it sound like resolutions are a really good thing. But here's the reality. In a study, this is all research based, and I'll put these resources for you online so you can look them up if you want to. But it said a study in 2016, 41% of Americans who made New Year's resolutions said by the end of the year, only 9% felt like they were successful in keeping them. But gosh, you know, go for it, you 9%. An earlier study showed that 12% of people who set resolutions are successful, even though 52% of the participants were confident of success at the beginning. So at the beginning of the people who set the resolutions, 52%, over half of the people who set the resolution said, I'm confident that I'm going to maintain and be successful with my resolutions. But at the end of the year, only 12% felt like they were successful. So obviously, not a lot of people follow through with resolutions, but I was surprised and impressed by those initial numbers. Reasons for failure. Why do people fail to set a New Year's resolution? Again, these are study based, some of these are older, but so 35% of the participants in this particular study who failed their New Year's resolution said that they had unrealistic goals. So they aimed too high. They shot out of the park, right? It was just like, what was I thinking? Couldn't do that. Here's a big one, and you can relate to this if you have done weight loss in the past. 33% of people who failed said they didn't keep track of their progress. Track of their progress. Now, that's something you'd think you'd want to keep track of, right? How well you're doing. Because as we know from prior talks and from real life experience, when we experience success and we feel we've made progress, that's a good internal motivation to keep doing well. So if you keep track of your success, of your progress, it helps you to keep going. That's why I really encourage things like writing down the things you did well, keeping track of those non scale victories. Those are the things that are about your life, about the benefits of having this surgery to begin with, how you're able to live more fully, right? And check this out, 23% of people forgot about their resolutions altogether. That would probably be me. Be like, what did I say I was going to do? There's always so many. All right, here's the most popular resolutions. Not surprising. And this is a number from 2020. So, one of the most popular New Year's resolutions was to eat healthier. 43% of Americans said they wanted to eat healthier. Surprise, surprise. Not at all, right? A year earlier, more than half of Americans wanted to be healthier. 59% wanted to exercise more, 54% said eat healthier, and 48 resolved to lose weight. Not surprising that health related resolutions are some of the top resolutions made pretty much every year. Getting in shape, eating healthier, exercising more, feeling better. Not at all unusual. In 2017, more than 70% of the participants in this study, it was a Stockholm University study, reported that most of the resolutions fell into the physical health category. So it's clear that most people want to improve their physical health. Now, if you're thinking about having surgery, if you've already had surgery, then maybe your goals are to continue your journey toward improved health. If you've regained after having surgery, maybe your New Year's resolution is to lose the amount of weight that you've regained or close to that. But here's the deal with the resolutions. Even though they're about exercising, even though they're about losing weight, even though they're about eating healthier, how many of you say that every week? Maybe every day, maybe a couple of times a day. Your new goal, your new goal, your new goal. Well, what's the difference between goals and resolutions, right? They're used interchangeably a lot of times. So I think it's important to understand the difference. Resolution is like, it's an absolute firm decision, it's a conviction, it's a way that we say, absolutely, this is a promise I'm making to myself. And it's more open ended than necessarily a specific goal. Well, you know how I feel about these open ended promises or these magnanimous statements of, I'm going to whatever. Remember, if you've watched the mind prep videos, which are part of the bariatric care program, by the way, is that a promise isn't very good unless you have the skills to follow through with the promise. So, a lot of people, this is like a resolution, right? I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to exercise more. But if you have a history of saying those things and not following through, you're going to likely follow that same trajectory. So, a resolution or a promise or a big, bold statement about going to do something, if it's not backed by any evidence that you can follow through, it's probably not a wise decision. And I would really encourage you to say, you know what? What have I done recently or in the past year that has shown me that I'm able to make progress with this? So the difference between a resolution and a goal is a resolution is it's a big, bold statement, but a goal is a little bit pared down. It's more specific. It's what I'm working to achieve. There's an end object. Like I'm going to eat this many calories this week every day. I'm going to walk this many steps every day this week. It's specific. There's a destination. It's what you're hoping to achieve. And they sound more attainable than this highfalutin resolution. So it's more bite sized than a resolution and it seems a little more doable. So resolutions are the promises, but a goal is your target, right? It's the desired outcome. I'm going to lose 50 pounds by this amount of time. And then you can break it down into more bite sized goals because goals have more of a definite and precise endpoint. So this month, this week, this day, this hour. And I always think about school when I think of goals because I was in school for so damn long. But you would take a semester, right? We've got from the August until December, and we've got this one class. And in this one class, we've got 4 tests. And then within these 4 tests, I've got these chapters that are going to be this test, these chapters that are going to be that test. So you break it down into smaller and smaller chunks. And so then as I work toward them, I'm like, okay, chapters 1 through 4 by Friday. I read them, I outline them, I highlight them, I make notes on them, whatever it is. So, goals, my target is by Friday, I will have completed these 4 chapters. If it is an exercise goal, as a bariatric patient, it is my goal is to walk 30 minutes 4 times a week. Or you can make it whatever you want to be, right? But it's a desired outcome and it has a definite endpoint, and you'll know when you've achieved it. It's like, wow, I did that. I was able to mark it off and I achieved it. You can put a time frame on there. Now you can have short-term goals and long-term goals. My short-term goal is by the end of today, I will have walked for 30 minutes. By the end of the week, I will have walked 30 minutes 4 times. Right? So that's a short-term goal for today and a longer-term goal for the end of the week, and so on and so on. So, how are these two things related, and why are they always referenced together? So, resolutions, I'm going to get healthier, are made up of goals. So, I'm going to get healthier, and how am I going to do that? I'm going to get healthier by eating better. All these things people noted, right? I'm going to eat better. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to spend more time on my emotional health. I'm going to spend more time having downtime. Whatever it is for you that says, this is how I can get there. So the resolution is the big overarching theme, the direction you want to go, and then the goals are the activities that are going to get you there, right? With the specific steps. So if you don't have goals, and you may know this, I may have shared this with you 1,000 times or more. Before I did psychology, before I went back to school to be a psychologist, I was in sales and I sold encyclopedias door to door, knock, knock, knock. Yes, I did. Back in the day when they even had encyclopedias. And if you are too young to know what one is, I can't help you with that. Just get out some, geriatric book and look up encyclopedia. And I would go door to door. And as a salesperson, even today, whatever you sell, it's not encyclopedias, but if you sell anything, then you know that goals are an important part of your job, right? You have a sales manager. The sales manager says, I want you to sell this many cars this week, or I want you to sell this many units of whatever it is you're selling, or I want you to sell this much makeup, or I want you to sell this number of suits, whatever you're selling. So you have to have goals. And when I was in sales way long time ago, back in the old days when they sold encyclopedias, we also had things called cassette tapes. And I would listen to what was then probably the equivalent of a podcast. These were cassette tapes by people who would give you all kinds of guru information, right? Like how to set goals and how to follow through with goals and you know, what to think, how to have a positive mindset, how to have a better attitude. Same stuff we're listening to today, by the way, only we do it in more modern ways. Anyway, so there was this one particular man who was kind of the guru of all gurus in sales education, and his name was Zig Ziglar, and he had quite a distinct accent. But Zig was known for saying a lot of things, but one of his most famous ones was, "Yeah," and he's talked like this. He'd say, "You gotta have goals. You gotta have goals," and we do need to have goals if we really want to accomplish anything and say, this was my goal and I attained it. Now, as with resolutions, as people mentioned, a lot of times people shoot too high and you say, I want to lose 30 pounds this week. That's not really a very realistic goal, right? If you say, I want to lose 3 pounds this week, that's probably realistic for the majority of people. But we've got to be realistic with our goals and we get off track. And so that's why it's a good idea to run your goals past somebody else and say, what do you think? Do you think this is fairly reasonable or is that too far fetched? Is that, for lack of a better phrase, biting off more than I can chew? Yeah, not probably the best one with bariatrics, but there you have that. So let's talk about goals for a minute. And you've probably heard about SMART goals. And I'm not going to talk too much about SMART goals today, but SMART goals are a good way to set goals because, they have more structure. There's a time frame. There's how realistic are these? What is my time frame? So you want to set SMART goals, and we'll talk about that another day. But goals can be changed. A resolution sounds like this big thing and I'm carving it in stone. I will get healthier. So you might start out with a goal that says, and at the beginning, you might say, I want to lose 5 pounds a week. And that's realistic for a few months. But then you might want to change or alter that goal because as you lose weight, you don't lose as much weight in the same amount of time. So you want to alter those a little bit. Here's the thing though, and you've heard me say this before, I hope, not too long ago in a video. I talked about the book Atomic Habits. And I love what James Clear had to say about this. He said winners and losers have the same goals. So people who, have the same goal to lose 50 pounds, let's say it is, or whatever it is, or have a goal to get a master's degree, or have a goal to become the sales director, or have a promotion at work. The people who achieve that and the people who don't achieve that have the same goals. And then he breaks it down into what makes the difference. So I'm not saying don't have resolutions. I'm not saying don't have goals. But if you're going to have big resolutions and then you step it down into goals, step it down even further because goals can sometimes seem overwhelming to people. And we only achieve our goals and therefore achieve our resolutions if we have a system in place. And there are many different systems, and you can devise your own system. But you have to have a process every single day that gets you to reach your goal. So it's the system you have in place, it's the habits you have devised that help you reach your goals. So let's say two people have the goals to lose 5 pounds in a week. And one person says, Yep, I have I have this goal. I want to lose 5 pounds this week, and I'm going to exercise more, and I'm going to eat less. All right. So we have a specific goal, which is good. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time frame. So you've got this specific goal, 5 pounds. But the rest of that, I'm going to eat better and exercise, is really, really, really vague. So if you said, so that, let's say with person A, I'm going to exercise and eat less. Person B says, I'm going to exercise 4 times this week. I'm going to swim 2 days for 30 minutes, and I'm going to bicycle 2 days. Well, that's 5 days. All right. I'm going to exercise 5 days, 3 days swim, 2 days bicycle, minimum of 30 minutes. Very specific, very measurable. You can know if you've done that. And then they say, I'm going to eat protein at every eating situation. And because I'm a bariatric patient, I'm going to eat 5 times today. And I will always start with protein. I will always have a vegetable or a fruit. And I will have no more than 2 starches a day. So that person has very specific goals and they have a check sheet and they have a system and they take their phone and they put in the times when they're going to eat. And they have a list of proteins that they can choose from. And they have the vegetables at home. Who do you think's going to do better? The person who has the goal with really vague system to get there, or the person who has the goal to lose the 5 pounds and has a very specific system to get there? And their system doesn't change from day to day very much. So their system is every day after work, I go do my exercise so that by the time I get home, I'm all finished with that. Or I get up and I exercise first thing in the morning. They establish these habits. So if I want to accomplish something, I know that I have to have a system. And it doesn't have to be set in stone and be completely rigid. But I do know that in my day, I'm going to eat five. You're a bariatric patient, right? So hopefully you're going to eat 5 times, right? 3 meals, 2 snacks, or whatever it is. You're going to eat every 3 to 4 hours because that's what you've been advised to do. You know you're going to start with protein first. You know you're going to build some exercise into your day. So, what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for success. So, biggest order is resolution, next order is goals, and then have a system. And you can devise your own system, but figure out what your system is. So, in my system, personally, I want to have time to exercise every day. That is critically important to me, just as much for my head as it is for my body. I need that time to work off energy. I sit all day long for my job. Many of you do as well. I take in a lot of information from other people. Many of you do as well. Many of you put out a lot of information in your job, which is exhausting too. Many of you have very physical jobs, which is exhausting too. We have to have ways to come into ourselves, to have time by ourselves. So if you have a really busy job, maybe your kind of exercise is yoga. If you need if you have a very sedentary job, maybe you want to do more vigorous yoga or exercise or swim or use a bike or walk. Exercise is part of my daily system. Sitting quietly is part of my daily system. Having routine times to eat in as much as possible is part of the daily system. So figuring out what has to be part of your daily system is your job. But the daily system, the habits of getting in the things you do in your life. And then, of course, you can have other things, but there've got to be some absolutes. Now, as a bariatric patient, let me encourage you to set up your system, and you can do it however you want. There are some that are set up for you. You know, there are a lot of checklists you can print off for healthy habits. I've made one called the Gotta Do'ems, and you can download the Gotta Do'ems for free on my website, which is www.conniestapletonphd.com. Or if you're a member of the Bariatric Care program, which is www.bariatriccare.com, you have access to a lot of free handouts, and the Gotta Do'ems is one of them. And let me tell you how I came up with this. This is not willy nilly. This is made for bariatric patients. And this is one way to help you devise your daily system. Make your life easier. You can create your own, but use some templates that are already made and make your own from that. How I created the Gotta Do 'em template was after reading a lot of research, after reading a lot of books on weight loss, I took the best habits that have been shown through research to get results in terms of losing weight and maintaining weight. And I put them on this checklist. And if you do these things, you are going to have much greater success than if you don't. So, what is on the gotta do's? Well, it's making consistently healthy food choices. How do you do that? You have them available. You don't go, gee, I'm leaving home today. I have no idea what I'm going to eat. You have consistently sources of protein at work, at home, in your car. Take a cooler, take your protein drinks, have protein bars with you. Make sure you have sliced deli meat, or make sure you have cheese, or make sure you have Greek yogurt, or whatever forms of protein you like. Make sure they're available to you so you don't have the excuse, gee, you couldn't get those. So you make consistently healthy food choices. And the only way to do that is having them available to you. So you make sure that you have them at hand. You maintain portion control. Well, if I eat a prepackaged container of Greek yogurt, I know exactly how many calories, how many proteins, how many sugars, how many carbs are in there. Very smart. Or if you prepackage your own food, there you go. Exercise on a regular basis. That doesn't mean you exercise all day, every day of your life, or you don't do it at all. It means I'm going to exercise 4 to 5 days a week. And I'm going to say it's going to be, for me, on my watch, it's set for 50 minutes. I want to exercise 50 minutes, 4 days a week or more. And the reason for me it's 50 minutes is that's how long it takes me to walk 3 miles. So you do you, but that exercise is a component. Eating breakfast, not just eating breakfast, but eating all of your meals. And remember, as a bariatric patient, a meal is not 7 courses. It's a protein, a fruit, a vegetable, maybe a starch every 3 to 4 hours, every 3 to 4 hours. And this becomes your system. Maybe you use a food diary, maybe you use an exercise diary to log your progress, right? Get enough sleep. It's proven to be great and essential for a healthy weight. Have a healthy support system. Those are your gotta do's. There you have it. Are you doing those? Now, I have another thing that I call the bariatric basics, and that's when it comes to your eating, your meal time, your eating time, and that is always start with protein. So, as a bariatric patient, as you come up with your system that are going to be your habits that are going to help you reach and sustain your goals so that you, ta da, met your resolutions, come up with your system. But for you, it really needs to include eating 5 times a day as instructed by your bariatric dietitian. Always start with protein. Don't drink with your meals. Have a protein, have a veggie, have a fruit, and 2 starches a day. Whatever your bariatric dietitian has shared with you, then that's what you do. And if you devise a system, this is your daily system, your habits. I eat at 8, 11, 2, 5, and 8. Whatever it is for you, that's your system. Go by your system. And you don't even have to think about it then because it does become your established habits. So it's what you do day to day. So both people have the same goal. Going to lose 5 pounds this week. One has a system in place whereby they do this, and it's just their routine. It's their life. It's what they do. The other one's just kind of willy nilly. Gonna eat less, move more. Well, the person with the system is the one that's most likely to meet their goals. And if this becomes your system, you don't even have to worry about. You don't even have to worry about regain because you follow your system. Now, it's going to take you a minute to get this system in place, but truly, people who have developed their successful systems just continue to follow their system and it works for them. Some people time block, right? You hear about these great successful business people and they time block. They're going to answer their emails from 8 to 9. They're going to make phone calls from 9 to 10. From 10 to 11, they have a meeting. From 11 to 1, they eat lunch and go to the gym. From 1 to those people do great. If that's their system, then that's what they do. What is your system going to be? Figure it out given your life because we all have different lives and absolutely things are going to change from time to time, but they don't have to change that much. If you eat 5 times a day and that's your system, you can do that no matter what your schedule is. I'll say almost no matter what your schedule is. I don't care if you're running around taking kids or if you're busy at work, you can find time to eat a protein bar. You can find time to eat a Greek yogurt every 3 to 4 hours. Set yourself up for success. Develop your system. So if you're going to have a New Year's resolution, let it be I'm going to develop a system that guides me every single day so I do achieve and accomplish my goals and I sustain them because it's the same system. It's kind of like when people lose weight on like keto or something. And the minute they go off of it, they gain their weight back. Why? Because whatever you do to lose weight, you've got to keep doing to keep that weight off. So if you develop the system whereby this is how you live, you're going to automatically keep that weight off because this is just how you live. So work on your system so that you can maintain a healthy weight and improve your mental and physical health, your spiritual health, your relationship health, all day, every day for the rest of your life, because that is living. And it just becomes part of what you do, and you don't have to think about it all the time. So I'm going to encourage you to have no more resolutions. Resolutions, no more. I mean, if you want to be playful and fun, yeah, sure, go for it. But make it something fun, like I'm going to travel 5 times a year. But set up your system because the person who has a system versus the one who doesn't, even though they have the same goal, the one with the system is going to be the winner. So you be the winner. You choose to be the winner. All right, I'm going to talk to you later in the week. And in the meantime, think about what we talked about today and start thinking about what your system needs to be. Excuse me. Wow. Sneezing live on a podcast. Does that happen? It just did. Anyway, I will talk to you later in the week. And between now and then, remember, this is your health. This is your life this day and every day. The system is going to get you to be the winner. Y'all take care, and I will see you later on. Make it a great